Merchant of Venice recording continued. So Bassanio chose the lead casket. As he makes his choice of the lead casket, Portia's reaction aside, that means to herself, Portia says that all other passions that were troubling me, they have melted into air. Fleet disappeared into air. So she says that other passions which were troubling me, they have all melted into air. So, what were the other passions, emotions that were troubling her? Number one, thoughts. What kind of thoughts? Doubtful thoughts. Doubtful thoughts whether Bassanio would choose the right casket. Number two, what kind of emotion that was troubling her earlier before Bassanio chose the right casket? Rash embraced despair. Despair means anxiety, worry. We embrace worries and troubles very quickly. Any misery, any miserable thing, if somebody tells you, you immediately believe that. So, rash, that is very harshly, very swiftly, embraced मतलब गले लगाना. तो rash embraced मतलब very immediately accepted. So, despair is rashly embraced. Rashly embraced means quickly embraced, quickly accepted by the people. So, despair, worry. So, negative thoughts. What human beings, it's the human nature to embrace negative thoughts very quickly. So, rash, embraced, that is very quickly accepted. Despair. So, worry, troubles, which is very quickly accepted by human beings. Second emotion, shuddering fear. Shuddering, that is, makes you tremble. Fear. So, fear that makes you tremble. So, thoughts, what kind of thoughts? Doubtful thoughts, like what if Bassanio chooses the wrong casket? Rash embrace, despair. Despair, worry. Worry. What worry? What if Bassanio chooses the wrong casket? So, worry of failure. So, quickly accepted. So, one will quickly, Portia would quickly, what were the thoughts that were there in her mind that Bassanio would choose the wrong casket? So, such thoughts she had quickly embraced. Shuddering fear, again, the fear of losing Bassanio. Shuddering, trembling, this very thought made her tremble. And number four, green eyed jealousy. Now, green eyed jealousy classically is projected as a monster with green eyes. Jealousy classically is presented as a monster with green eyes. From there comes the phrase green eyed jealousy. So, and green eyed jealousy. Now, why jealousy? Jealousy, Portia is a rich heiress, but she was jealous of other maidens. Why she was jealous of other maidens? Even the commonest of maiden had the right to choose her own husband. But Portia, despite her wealth, despite the inheritance that she had, despite the social status that she did not have the right to choose her own husband. So this jealousy definitely was not not intended in any wrong way, but anybody would be jealous that she does not have a choice to choose her husband, while even the commonest of maidens had the choice to choose her husband. This jealousy. And remember, such questions are not asked in ICSE. If they can ask you what passions had disappeared into air. So what you can write? Number one, doubtful thoughts. Number two, rash embraced despair, that is quickly accepted anxiety. Number three, shuddering fear, that means fear that makes a person tremble. And number four, green eyed jealousy. So these are the four emotions which she was being troubled with. She was anxious about a moment ago. And now, as Bassanio chose the wrong casket, these emotions have disappeared into air, melted into air, as if they never existed. और ऐसा ही होता है कि जब तक कुछ नहीं हो, अगर फाइनल्स है, मैच चल रहा है, इंडिया का लास्ट ओवर है और 7 रन चाहिए बैट्समैन, इंडियन बैट्समैन, तो जब तक वो जीत नहीं जाए तब तक हम लोग नेगेटिव थॉट्स से भरे रहते हैं. बट द मोमेंट वो सक्सेस मिल जाए, उसके बाद लोग इतना खुश होते हैं कि वो भूल ही जाते हैं कि कुछ देर पहले वो डर के मारे कांप रहे थे, कुछ देर पहले वो ट्रेम्बल कर रहे थे. सो इसी तरह से पोर्शिया यहाँ पे क्या बता रही है कि पैशंस दे मेल्ट इनटू एयर सो स्विफ्टली एज इफ दे नेवर एग्जिस्टेड. सिमिलरली ऑल माय डाउटफुल थॉट्स हैव मेल्टेड इनटू एयर. The despair, anxiety, worry has melted into air. All the fears about losing Bassanio has melted into air. The green eyed jealousy has melted into air, and now she feels that she was overwhelmed with love, excessive of love. Now, what did she feel? Excessive of love. And now she was overflowing with love. So she says, "Oh, love, be moderate." Okay, so this is an example of apostrophe. Now, difference between personification and apostrophe. Apostrophe is a branch of personification. Now, when I give a human nature or character to any non-living thing, that is personification. So, I'll give you an example. That is, the fan is whispering. The fan is whispering is, or the AC is whispering. The AC is whispering is an example of personification. Here, AC is whispering like a human being. But if I say directly addressing the AC, "Oh AC, stop whispering," that is an example of apostrophe. So, apostrophe is an example of, it's a branch of personification. When we directly address a non living being as if it's a living being, that's an example of apostrophe. So, here an abstract noun love has been addressed. "Oh love," or you can say the goddess of love she is addressing. So, "Oh love, be moderate." Be moderate, that is, control your joy. So, I am experiencing excessive joy. So, give me in control, give me love in control. Allay again means restrain. So, here the same word is repeated. Moderate, that means in control. Allay, that is restrain. Thy ecstasy, thy means your. Ecstasy, that is outburst of joy. Ecstasy, that is outburst of joy. So she is overwhelmed with joy. She is overflowing with joy. So we have words like moderate, restrain, allay, restrain. In measure, measure means restrain. Again, the same word. Rein, rein means control, check, like the reins of a horse, which checks the movement of a horse. Similarly, rein thy joy. So rein the joy you are giving me. So restrain the joy. So we have the words like moderate, allay, measure. All these words mean the same. All means in control, in limit. Restrain the joy. Scant this excess. Scant means, excuse me, scant means again reduce or check. So we have four words now: moderate, allay, measure, scant, and rein also you can say. All these words mean check the excessive joy that you are giving me, that I am being overflowed with. In measure in thy joy, scant this excess, I feel too much thy blessing. So I feel that I feel too much of your blessing. So I am overwhelmed with joy. Make it less, again repetition, for I fear I surfeit. Surfeit means suffer from excess. Surfeit means suffer from excess. A reference was there in Act 1, Scene 3, when Portia said that those who have excess, the people who have enough, they suffer from excess. Okay, surfeit. Surfeit means suffer from excess. So I feel too much thy blessing, make it less, for I fear I surfeit. So here question, what was Portia's reaction as Bassanio chose the casket, right casket? Portia felt that all the other passions, emotions, troubling emotions like doubtful thoughts, rash embrace, despair, shuddering fear, green-eyed jealousy, that were troubling her, they had all disappeared into thin air. Then she asks love to be moderate because she was feeling excessive of joy. She felt that she was overflowing with joy. So Bassanio, he says, "What find I here?" And he opens the lead casket. What does he find inside? These are ICSE questions. Fair Portia's counterfeit. Counterfeit means duplicate. Duplicate or replication. So here it is portrait. Fair Portia's portrait. What does he find in the lead casket? Fair Portia's portrait. What demigod has come near so creation? That means he appreciates the creation, that is the art, the portrait. What is the creation? The art, the painting, the portrait. He calls it a creation of art. Such a beautiful creation of art, such an incredible piece of art creation, so near creation. And near creation means it is lifelike. Near, it is lifelike. So near creation, that is the portrait. In the portrait, it seems like a live person. The painting has been done so wonderfully, so incredibly, that it looks like a near life creation. It looks like a near life creation. And he says that the painter must be a demigod. Demigod, that means man possessing the qualities of God, or you can say half man, half God. Okay, so demigod, so some supernatural creature. So this must be some supernatural creature. So he says that the painter must have been some supernatural creature to make such a perfect portrait, to a lifelike portrait, because the move these eyes, and it is so lifelike that the eyes seem to be moving. So move these eyes, so the portrait is so lifelike that the eyes seem to be moving. Or are they whether riding on the balls of mine, or riding on the balls of mine, or is it my imagination? Riding on the balls of mine, is it my imagination? So is the are the eyes moving? So that means the eyes look so real that they seem to be moving. Or is it my imagination? Seem they in motion? Seem they to be moving? Here are severed lips. So you can remember this easily. Eyes. Number one, eyes. So what are the two things he tells about the eyes? He says that the eyes were so real that they seemed to be moving. Or he wonders if it was his own imagination. So, or whether riding on the balls of mine seemed in motion. So two things he tells about the eyes. And then lips. The lips were separated, severed lips. The lips were separated. Okay, so here are severed lips, parted with sugar breath. And between the lips, what was passing? Sweet breath of Portia was passing. So the lips were parted by the sweet breath of Portia. So sweet a bar, so sweet an obstacle. So what was the bar here? What was parting Portia's lips? So bar here was sugar breath. Bar here is sugar breath. So only sugar breath could part, should sunder. Sunder means separate. Such sweet friends. Who are two friends? Sweet friends. The upper lip and the lower lip. So the two lips are like two sweet friends. And such sweet friends can only be parted by such a sugar breath. So two things. Number one tells about eyes. Number two, he tells about lips. And number three, hair. So here in her hair, that is while painting the hair, the painter plays the spider. The painter has played the role of a spider, and just like a spider weaves a web, similarly the painter in her hair has woven a golden web. So Portia's hair has been compared to a golden mesh, to a golden web. The painter plays the spider. The painter, like a spider, has woven a golden mesh, a golden web. And in the golden mesh, that is Portia's golden hair, entraps the hearts of men. What gets trapped? Hearts of men get trapped in the golden hair of Portia faster than gnats in cobwebs. Faster than gnats. Gnats are insects in cobwebs. So faster than the insects get trapped in the cobwebs, hearts of men get trapped in the golden hair of Portia. And then he goes back to the eyes and says, but her eyes, how could he see to do them? So he says that it is not possible that the painter could have completed both the eyes. Why? Because the first eye, having been painted, seemed so hypnotizing, so charming, that it should have hypnotized or charmed the poet, the painter. So, how could the painter overcome the charm of the first eye? Because the painter was a supernatural creature. Remember that the painter was not a supernatural creature. We call this exaggeration. We call this exaggeration. Badha chada ke bolna, hyperbole, exaggeration. So he says that it is a wonder how the painter could complete the painting, how the painter could draw the second eye, could paint the second eye, because the first eye itself seemed to be too hypnotizing. The first eye itself should have hypnotized the painter had the painter not been a supernatural creature. But how the painter could overcome the charm of the first eye? Because the painter was a supernatural creature. So give an evidence to state that the painter was a supernatural creature. So the painter was a supernatural creature because he could overcome the charm of the first eye to complete the second eye, and only a supernatural creature could have done so. So how could he see to do them? I hope you understood this. Having completed the first eye, methinks, I think, it should have the power to steal both his, that is charm both his eyes. So the first eye itself had the charm, the hypnotism, okay, to freeze, to paralyze the, of hypnotize the painter. Having made one, methink it should have the power to steal both his and leave itself unfurnished. Itself means painting, unfurnished means incomplete. So the painting should have been left incomplete. Why? Had the painter not been a supernatural creature. So because the painter was a supernatural creature, he overcame the charm and he could complete the painting. Yet look how far the substance of my praise doth wrong the shadow. So substance, that is the original, the person who was originally related to the portrait, and who is it? Portia. So substance, the person, and shadow, that is portrait. The substance of my praise, that is Portia, does wrong the shadow. Wrong the shadow, that is undermines the shadow. Shadow, that is the portrait. The portrait seems to be supernatural. The portrait had the charm to hypnotize anyone. The portrait seemed so real that the eyes seemed to be moving. The hair in the portrait seemed to have the charm to trap the hearts of men. So you can understand how beautiful the portrait was. So when the portrait was incredible, despite that, Portia was far more beautiful than the portrait. And Portia was so beautiful that if you could compare Portia, if you compared Portia and the portrait, Portia's beauty surpassed the portrait. Portia's beauty undermined the portrait. Okay, overshadowed the portrait. Okay, so the substance, the matter of my praise, that is Portia, the original matter of my praise, the for person whom I am praising, he does wrong the shadow. Wrong the shadow, that is he overshadows the portrait and underprices it. Underprices it means makes the worth less, makes it seem unworthy. So compared to to Portia, the portrait seemed unworthy. So far this shadow does limp behind the substance, and then it seems that the shadow or the portrait limps behind, lags behind. The portrait lags behind behind actual Portia, or you can say actual Portia surpasses the portrait in terms of beauty. So here is the scroll. Scroll is a note, a written note, the continent and summary of my fortune. So this contains my fortune, and this concludes my fortune. So here, how does how does Bassanio praise the portrait? So first of all, he says that the painter must have been a demigod, because the portrait seemed near creation. Near creation means lifelike. So number one, the portrait seemed lifelike. Number two, the eyes seemed to be moving. The eyes were so real that it seemed to be moving. Or he wonders, am I imagining it? Number three, the lips were separated by sweet sugar breath. The lips compared to two sweet friends who could only be separated by such sugar breath. And hair, number one, the painter seemed to have played the role of a spider in painting that golden mesh. And the hearts of men get trapped in the golden mesh faster than the gnats in the cobwebs, the insects in the cobwebs, makdi ka jala. And now we come to the eyes. The painter seemed to have been a supernatural creature to complete the painting, because any ordinary human being would have been hypnotized after having made the first eye, and thus the painting would have been left unfurnished, incomplete, had the painting been done by some ordinary human being. And then he goes on to say that Portia still surpasses the shadow. Okay, thank you so much.